So it's launch day. MLB 22 is finally here, and I know there's a lot of new players on the game and a lot of new returning players and whatnot. And you're probably wondering, how the hell do you have a hitting tips video going out the same day that the game comes out? Well, I'll tell you why. Because a lot of the stuff, especially from the previous years that I've played, is going to transfer over from this year's game. Widely regarded as one of the best players in the world. I had a 477 and a 47 record last year, a 363 batting average, and most of that is on legend difficulty against some of the best players in the world. So the first thing that I want to go over with you guys is some of the settings that I use to help make me a good player at MLB The Show. So a couple of the first settings I want to go over is your hitting view. Now, I know a lot of people, if you're new to the game, strike zone might look a little weird to you, but any of the strike zone cameras to me are honestly the best hitting view that you can use. It just gives you the best advantage for when you're at the plate, makes it that much easier to be able to pick up the ball. Your PCI looks a lot bigger. I just think it's easier for you to see the ball, hit the ball, just score some runs, man, and you're gonna have a lot more fun playing this game. So I recommend strike zone or strike zone high as two of the hitting cameras that you can use this year. Secondly, I hit on zone hitting. Now, there's other ones here such as directional, and I don't even know what timing is. I don't even know if you can even use that online. But to get the most beneficial input is you want to be using zone hitting, because directional leaves a lot of randomness in there, and while it might be easy for a first-time player to, pick up the game and use directional, if you want to become better at the game and you want to become a better hitter in general, you're going to want to get used to zone hitting. There is a new feature this year called the PCI anchor, and I have that on, and I will be going over that a little bit later in the video. So sit tight. I'll get to that once we get into custom practice, which is another part of the video as well. And just some basic PCI settings that I use is I don't play with inner on or outer, and I just use diamonds only. I use the color white as my PCI, and I use 60% transparency. Now, the reason why I don't use inner or outer is because I feel like if aim small, miss small is kind of like my motto. So if I barely miss, that means I'm still going to be, like, for the most part on the ball, and I'm going to make good contact. So if I'm aiming with that center PCI only, I'm going to get more perfects, which is obviously just going to lead to some hard hit balls. But for a beginning player, what I would recommend to do is when I am in a slump and I'm not hitting well, I'll turn on the PCI outer and I'll put it on. I'll play with basic as my PCI outer and then keep my inner on. It just kind of gives the illusion of having a bigger PCI in a sense. I do it sometimes as well when I get like a laggy game or whatnot, but I definitely think center only is the way to go. It's just what a lot of very good players at this game do, and honestly, you just got to find the PCI that works for you. These are just my recommendations. Last year, my hitting tips video had over 60,000 views on YouTube, and I got a lot of genuine feedback on how it actually helped people get better at the game, and I hope that translates over to this year's game too. Again, these are just some basic PCI settings. If you guys want to take a screenshot here or just want to go back to it, PCI center diamonds, PCI outer basic. If you're newer at the game, if you want to take your game to the next step, try using PCI center. That way you can kind of aim for some more perfects. Second thing I want to mention very quickly is I use Control Freaks. No, this is not a sponsored video or anything like that, but I've been using Control Freaks for the last probably 4 years of playing MLB The Show, and I use the Galaxy High Rise. So as you guys can see, I have the high rise here, and if I put on the low rise, you guys can see the difference in the two here really quick. So this one here is the one that I hit with. This is comparison to the other Control Freak as well. So the high rise to me, I feel like gives me more control of my PCI, gives me a bigger range of motion. It was a little bit difficult to get used to at first, but using Control Freaks has allowed me to get those in-between pitches, not the ones right down the middle and not the ones right on the black. Definitely highly recommend them. They're not very expensive at all. They're only like $15 or so. You can find them at Best Buy, your local Walmart, Amazon, whatever. You can go to their website as well. Definitely scoop up a pair. if you're planning on playing this game a lot, I promise you it's 100% worth the investment. So I'm about to hop into custom practice to show y'all like how to get better at the game essentially, and I want to mention briefly stadiums. So for the past, I would say 5 years, there's only been a few select stadiums that a lot of people play at, just because, especially if you're on an older gen console like a PlayStation 4, if you play at like your team stadium, say if you want to play at Chase Field here or Yankee Stadium or Comerica Park, the game just does not run as smoothly. I don't know, it's kind of disappointing how it's been like that for a while, but the only Major League Stadium that plays somewhat decently and doesn't have any issues is Colorado. If you want to get rewarded for your swings more and become a better hitter, a couple stadiums that I recommend is you'll see a lot of people play at Ship It. I like it personally because of the batter's eye. It's not so much about the elevation, which did get a nerf this year. Last year, in the years prior, Ship It had an elevation about 3,000, so a lot of balls would just fly out when they shouldn't. Now elevation's only around 1,200, so maybe that's going to make a big difference in how the stadium plays this year. We won't really know about that until we play a little bit more and find out how it really works. But a couple other stadiums I recommend is, I don't think All-American is that bad. Laughing Mountain's not bad if you play at night as well. I'll scroll over to it here really quickly. As you can see, that batter's eye is a little bit small, so, and with the buildings in the background, it makes it a little bit hard to see during the day, so recommend playing at night. But 3 stadiums I would recommend are Ship It, Laughing Mountain, and All-American. Test those out, see which one you like, and just become comfortable with a park. So the first thing that I do when I hop into custom practice is I basically treat it as if, you know, I'm playing an actual game. I'm gonna hop into, it's called team practice here. So when you pause and you go to practice type, you can scroll down here to team practice. I'm just playing with 2 legend rosters. So I'm gonna face new legend Randy Johnson. I'm gonna start off with Jackie Robinson, and I'm just gonna go through the lineup as if it's a regular game. First thing that I want to talk about is your PCI placement. Now, your PCI starts in the middle of the zone, but with this year, there's a new feature called the PCI anchor. So if I want to start my PCI in a different spot instead of it right down the middle, I can click in, I can point with my left stick, and if I click in, I can start it in a different spot. As y'all can see, I am not moving it right now, so instead of it going right back to the middle, I'm aiming down and clicking in the left stick, and I can set my PCI to anchor in a certain spot. Now, what I think is the best is either just leave it down the middle, or you can use high, which I've been messing around with a little bit, and I've actually been liking. I feel like I'm allowed, I think the best thing when you use PCI anchor high is you start that high there, and then you pull it down just a little bit just to make some tension. And that allows me to not get under the ball as much. I don't drop as much either, which is kind of an issue that I've had the last year or so, because I've been dropping a lot, especially in 21. But honestly, everything is just about finding what works for you. Now, I know I haven't made 2 of the greatest swings yet. I'm still half asleep here. Cut me some slack, but it just takes practice, man. Every year, the game feels a little bit different, and you just gotta, once you find that timing down and you become comfortable with it, like there we go. That ball squared up with Willie Mays. That ball should probably get out, but it doesn't, so it ends at the wall. Not the biggest deal in the world, but it's a good PCI placement. It's good timing. And what I'm doing is I'm not slamming. I'm being very gentle with my PCI. I'm pushing it to where the ball is. And that is allowing me to get better PCI placement. Like, obviously, right there, I'm way too early. PCI placement's not there. But I'm recognizing that pitch out of his hand, and I'm getting that mental timing down of when I have to swing. Now, the second thing I want to talk about, other than PCI placement and, you know, being gentle with it, not slamming it to the corners and whatnot, so I can hit those in-between pitches, you're pretty much just pushing the PCI. You're not slamming it to the corner. You're being very gentle with it so that you can hit that pitch here and it doesn't end up all the way over here. Now, the second thing I wanted to get into was just picking up a pitcher's tendency. Now, a lot of players, you know, they get very predictable, and you'll realize in the same count, they'll throw the same pitch in the same spot a lot. And I like to keep a mental track of that. So say to start the game, I'm at an 0-1 count. He throws me a fastball inside. and I take it for a strike, and I go, okay, I wasn't ready for that pitch. Next time I'm going to be ready for it. Next batter, I'm in an 0-1 count. I'm thinking to myself, well, he threw me a fastball last time. I got to get ready for that. And if he throws it again, I'm going to hop all over it, because I'm going to realize he's trying to throw me an 0-1 fastball inside a lot. And some people, they don't even realize how predictable they could be. So if you can just keep a mental track of what your opponent is throwing and what counts, where he's throwing it, and you can pick up on a little tendency like that, you're able to eliminate certain pitches, and it just makes it a little bit easier for you at the plate. And I promise you, it will 100% help you out if you can pick up tendencies. So lastly, what I want to talk about here is picking up a pitcher's release point. Now, someone like Randy Johnson, he's new to the game. I've never seen him before. Hopping into custom practice here helps me out a little bit, trying to learn where his release point is. A lot of people always ask me, they go, where are you looking when you're hitting? Are you looking at your PCI? Are you just staring at the pitcher? And what I'm looking for here is, I'll try to aim with my PCI here. I'm looking at where he's releasing that ball, because if I can pick up his release point and I can see the ball well out of his hand, it's going to make it easier for me to read pitches, recognize if it's a fastball, slider, off speed, etc. So stare at that pitcher's release point, try to learn where the ball is coming from, try to pick up the spin and whatnot. I know that sounds a little crazy, but right there, I realized halfway through it was a slider. Like I said, learn that timing, learn that pick up that release point, and I promise you it's gonna help you out so much. Like, I know I'm not putting on a show here, I'm not really trying to lock in or anything like that, so I'm kind of missing some easy pitches, but the more you practice, the more you're gonna get better at the game, which is one of the last things I wanted to get into here. So practice, practice, practice. I know it sounds so cringy, but believe me, the more you practice, the better that you're gonna get at the game. Custom practice is your best friend. Now, right now, I'm not playing with juice sliders or anything like that. I'm just playing on the base difficulty here. Now, while I play on Legend, if you're new to the game, I recommend, just taking batting practice on All-Star, getting used to the game. And then when All-Star becomes too easy for you, boost that up to Hall of Fame. I think one of the better things that you can do to get a little bit better at the game is play on the, or practice on a difficulty at least one level higher than what you're used to playing at online. So, for example, if you're an all-star player, right? An all-star level player, practice on a Hall of Fame. Get used to those quicker pitch speeds, and it's going to make the game so much easier for you the longer you play it. So, for me, I always practice on Legend. I know a lot of people can't do that, but me, as one of the best players in the world, I just hop on Legend. Makes my reaction times a little bit better. Just makes the game a little bit easier for me, and if I can practice on Legend, it's going to be beneficial for me for when I hop into a ranked game. After all this, after all these settings and all these tips that I've given, find something that you like. What works for me isn't going to work for you sometimes, and that's okay. That's like, it's all just a suggestion. My PCI might not work for you. You might find something that works better, and that's fine. I'm just giving what works best for me, what has worked for me in the last couple of years or so to become one of the best players in the world. I get asked all the time what my settings are and whatnot, and I really feel like that just some of these basic tips can help out a lot of you new players that might have come across my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. I will drop my links to my Twitch channel down below, where I'll be streaming the game a ton this year, making a ton of content over here on YouTube as well. So if you guys have any questions, you can always hop on my Twitch chat, leave them down below. I'm going to try to get back to as many questions as I can. So I appreciate all of your guys' support. It means a lot to me. Like I said, any questions, drop it down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.